Hi, everyone. If you want to reclaim 70 to 80% of your Scrum Master time using AI automation, this topic is for you. I'm Fahmi Hafriz, your master trainer for this topic today. I'm going to show you how to move from being a Scrum admin to AI-powered Scrum Master. No code required, guaranteed. I am a certified PMP and product owner with almost 2 decades of manufacturing, product, and test experience. For the past 10 years, I am involved in a Scrum as a product owner and a Scrum Master for Intel and Altera Corporation Malaysia. I hold a master's degree in electronic system design from National Science University of Malaysia. Currently, I am a senior staff test development engineer at Altera. In test development area, we handle a lot of modules that is managed by flows. That is why Agentic AI is kind of very close to me. It is what I'm dealing with every day. Basically, it's my routine job. I'm also a member of Altera AI workgroup who take care of emerging AI technologies and training within the company. With all this experience, I'm here to share you my experience with Agentic AI tool to help us with Scrum management. We start with the learning objective. First, we look at the problem statement that we want to solve, which is the administrative depth of a Scrum Master. We then include prompt engineering basic. Then we evolve into AI assistant, or sometimes we call it a custom GPT. And then we introduce what is Make AI and how it will be useful for a Scrum Master. Finally, we go through some demo on what we have discussed in this session. Let's look at what are the administrative that we need to handle. First, we need to manual updating the ticket status and etc. Spending hours after the refinement sessions, transcribing messy whiteboard notes into a formal user stories, exporting data to Excel to create burn down chart or velocity reports for management, manually identifying stall ticket, nagging and pinging individuals in the Teams or Slack for updates. You know one thing, most of the developers are not disciplined enough to write a proper user stories or definition of done. So in my past experience, that is my most challenging stuff because the test developers are so busy and they tend to ignore the definition of none and the acceptance criteria. Finally, they coordinate calendars, booking rooms, and sending reminders for the Scrum events, making sure the team don't skip the Scrum events. This will become worse when you are managing more than one team. They are drowning with stories and admin work. Therefore, we are going to explore some of the AI features that could help to remove this administrative debt. Next, let's evaluate our AI competency. While I'm explaining, try to evaluate yourself where you are sitting in the AI competency ladder. If you are a basic chit chatter with LLM or ChatGPT, you are here. A basic prompt gets a low quality answer without any context. The AI will assume and hallucinate a lot of stuff. But if you upgrade yourself to the next level using a prompt engineering, it will create a high quality output that creates a professional artifact. Next, beyond prompt engineering, it is AI assistant or custom GPTs, where we use a system prompt to avoid writing the prompt again and again. Finally, we enter into a world of agentic AI, where we integrate the AI assistant with some of the supporting tools like Jira and other LLMs to automate your daily tasks. We can use N8N or Make.com for agentic AI. In this session, we'll focus on Make.com. So there's a famous saying, garbage in, garbage out. So a basic prompt get a basic answer. If you don't prompt properly, you'll get a big answer. Now let's look at the prompt engineering. The AI goal, objective, and instruction are organized in a structured prompt engineering framework shown in this pyramid, which group the instruction into role, context, objective, workflow, and constraint. So with a proper prompt, with this structured prompt, right, you will get a very accurate answer. So this is one of the example. Observe that the very detail covering all the elements I mentioned earlier, especially the workflow. In this way, you can also maintain the same format and standardize them no matter who is using the prompt. So we learn how to write a proper prompt. Now let's move on with AI assistant. For this demo, we will use custom GPT or AI assistant solution from Gemini. It's already know the role, context, and its mission and workflow to get an output. Meanwhile, when you just use normal chat, it doesn't have a memory to remember what is the role, context, and everything. Next is the agentic AI. So what if you want to trigger automatically or schedule them? So we can actually use make.ai. We arrange them in a sequence, and we define what will trigger the automation. So let's move on to the demo. So for the first demo, I'm going to use Gemini. Then this is the Gemini AI assistant. They call it GEMS. First, I want to demo a triage assistant. This GEMS configuration page, right? You need to define the assistant name, description for the user to refer. And the instruction field is where we write the system prompt, that we instruct the AI to follow and provide whatever objective and workflow. So similar to chat, which require proper prompts to work, AI assistant also need a proper prompts to work efficiently. So we can use the structured prompt engineering framework that I explained on the slide earlier. Before I move on, there's one option to include your team BKM for the AI assistant to reference and act accordingly. Like for example, you create a customer inquiry assistant or bot. You can put the FAQ document here for the AI to refer and answer accordingly. This is optional. We can actually move on with just instruction, right? Once you update, you need to save and use it, right? So update. Yeah, let's try to see what is inside here. So this is a try it assistant. So the goal is to categorize the incoming Jira ticket into exactly one of the following. Whether it's a bug, feature request, support, or maintenance, right? So let's say I put this example here. The login button is completely unresponsive when clicked on mobile Chrome browser. It just sits there and does nothing. So you can see it's a bug, then it's able to identify this as a bug, right? There's another example. I forgot how to export a monthly report to a PDF. Can somebody help me? So this is a support request, right? So it's able to detect this. Let's try one more. It will be great if you could have a dark mode option in the dashboard. My eyes are straining during the night shift. So it's a feature request. So you see, by providing a very clear instruction and rules, it can actually output a very concise answer. Okay. Next is a agile quality assurance auditor, right? So it's a Scrum coach. We will actually review the stories, right? And verify whether the acceptance criteria and definition of done is there or not. And agree whether the acceptance the story is a pass or fail or needs improvement. So we give the workflow, steps, and everything. Constraint, don't be so strict. Focus on evidence, don't hallucinate, and everything. And keep the audit summary within 500 characters. Sometimes AI likes to talk a lot, right? So we want to limit into 500 characters so it's become very concise, right? For this, we can try a good example where I put all the acceptance criteria and the definition of done and follow all the requirements listed inside the instruction here. So it's probably say the status is passed and excellent story and stuff, right? So when the story needs some improvement, so it will able to detect, okay, AC present but lack of very good structure. Definition is too vague and lack of quality standards, and it's also feedback. And let's give one more example of story. Need to update the insurance client login page, include forgot password link. It needs to be done before Friday so that the QA team can look at it. So it's actually mark this as a failure and give all the reasons why it marks as a failure. So you must define specific testable scenarios for the acceptance criteria and establish a quality gates for definition of done. Now we are done with the assistant, right? Let's go to make.ai and see some of the scenarios, right? Let's look at the first scenario. Let's look at how we can use the prompt engineering skill that we learned earlier to build an automated flow. First, we're going to try to build an automation to check for good or bad user stories. We'll use Jira to create user stories. For those who are not familiar with the Jira, it is an industry standard project management tool to support agile framework. We can create stories, put them into sprints, manage backlogs, you prioritize or anything with the backlogs, right? And many more, right? For this demo, we will add a comment after reviewing the description in the user story where we put acceptance criteria and definition of done. This assistant will check and audit the acceptance criteria and definition of done. Basically, we use the prompt from the AI assistant earlier and paste it here. Okay. Then this module will watch for issues created. Whenever there's an issue created, it will route through this flow, right? When the description is less than 10 characters, it will go here and just say, please enter a long description in the comments. Otherwise, it will go into Google Gemini AI, run the AI assistant, and update the comment. This can be triggered every 15 minutes or every day, any day of the week, any day of the month, and so on, right? So to test this, I need to create a story. So this Jira, here's how we create a story. Summary basically is a title. And we create a story. And after creating the story, we run the automation. Oh yeah, prior to run the automation, right? You won't have any comments. But after you run, like 12 seconds ago, the automation have been done, right? So it detected that the story needs some improvement. And why is that? Acceptance criteria need to be following certain format, right? Then the definition of done need to be expanded beyond QA team can look at it, right? Okay. Then we just write something that doesn't have any meaning. Right, then we create and we can also run. And let's see what is the comments. Status fail. So acceptance criteria and definition of done are completely missing. Both are crucial for defining what and how well of this work item. You see, it's quite smart enough to detect it and update, right? Yeah, we go to the second demo. Where this is a triad assistant. It will group the issues to either bug or feature requests or support or maintenance. Okay, then it will update the comment and also update the label. So here we define label as the result of this assistant, right? Then I also add a filter so that if it's a feature request, send an email to the developer. right? So let's say I create a story that the PDF upload is not working. And also create another story. We need a dark mode to avoid eye strain. You can see that when I run this, it detects 2 stories and run them twice. Okay. So this number shows that it's actually run twice. But you realize that the mail is only sent once because one is a bug from the story, right? One is a bug. Another one is a feature request. So it only sent an email for the feature request. Actually, okay. So this is the information in the email. You can actually customize this in the Gmail module here. How you want the email to look like and etc. So I just put created by myself and the request need a dark mode in the website. And I put a signature AI Scrum Master so that we know it's actually generated by AI. Okay, one of the features when you put a label, right? Here you can actually filter by labels. So you can actually look at all the stories which is related to feature request. And you can also filter all the stories which is a bug. Okay, this is the final and the ultimate one. So you can actually provide a simple description of the story. If you are too lazy to write a story, right? It will help you to generate a proper story with a proper AC, acceptance criteria, and definition of time, and update the ticket with a proper description, right? So I use the structured prompt to create a good story with required acceptance criteria and definition of time in here. I actually put a system prompt here, right? So those original description, it will be loaded here as a text. Okay, then you can see update an issue, right? This is where I rewrite the description, right? Then it go into another AI assistant that actually categorize what is this user story is all about, whether it's about feature request, support, or maintenance. Based on that, it will put a comment and also flag as a different label for different categories. And finally, send an email if it's a feature request. Okay. So here you can see we can actually include multiple AI assistant to do the work for you, right? As I can actually demo here. Let's say feature request. Again, I like to use a simple need a dark mode. And I also create 2 stories together. Imagine if you have 50 stories created, you can actually let it run everything in sequence automatically. Okay, now I run, it detected the first one, creating a user story. That's why it's taking so long. Then it's updating what category is that and update into a label, and it actually sent the emails. So it's also take another one. You see, it's actually run this module twice because I created 2 stories. The earlier ones was feature request. The other one is a bug, right? So for it's run for the both tickets and act accordingly. See, I already get an email created by myself, and this is the refined user story, which has the requirement, acceptance criteria, definition of that. So that's all with the demo. To wrap up, we learn from engineering, AI assistant, and make AI with the demo. We see that it's capable of doing all the messy job for us during the demo. Imagine you need to review 30 to 50 stories per week. This AI automation that we built can settle this within minutes. So are you ready to build your own scenario? My 1-hour webinar will deep dive on how it can be done. Meanwhile, in my 12-hour masterclass, you'll be able to build your own agent. Thank you and see you in future. My name is Fahmi Hafiz, signing off from here.